Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm Rick Kent. I'm co-chair of the Chamber Economic Development Committee and Government Relations Committee. Welcome to today's Economic Development Committee meeting. First, let's go around the table or the virtual table here and introduce ourselves. Nick, do you want to start out?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Nick Gaich, CEO and President of the Chamber of Commerce.
And Mario.
Mario Banuelos, Chamber of Commerce.
Jim.
Jim Sturgey just got the invite, and I'm watching you this morning. Thank you.
Welcome, Jim. It's been a long time.
Welcome. Yeah. Lori.
Good morning, Lori Allen, Morgan Hill Chamber of Commerce, Director of Programs and Communications.
And Steve Tate.
I'm Steve Tate, a retired politician and president of Leadership Morgan Hill, and we are recruiting. If you haven't been to Leadership Morgan Hill, sign up now.
Thanks, Steve. Alex.
Hi, good morning. Alex Kennett, Open Space Director and the local realtor.
Char.
Marmorazzo, Work to Future.
And Joe Mueller.
Resident, member of the Morgan Hill Planning Commission.
Kathy.
Kathy Chavez Napoli, board member, Morgan Hill Historical Society, member of the AAUW, member of the Chamber, and a trustee, Gavilan Community College.
Welcome. Steve McFarland.
Hi, good morning. Steve McFarland, Morgan Hill Chamber.
Deanna.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Deanna Walter. I'm part of the Work to Future team. Nice to see you.
Welcome. Victoria.
Good morning, everyone. I'm the Director of Sales at the La Quinta Morgan Hill.
And we also have Victoria Valencia.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm the President and CEO of the Gilroy Chamber.
Welcome. John McKay.
Good morning, everyone. Let's see, former City Council punching bag, on the board of directors of Downtown Association and Visit Morgan Hill, and just generally around town, starting a new column in Morgan Hill Times. So look forward to seeing y'all. More of you.
Daniel. Daniel, you muted. Bill.
All right, I apologize. I'm Daniel Nguyen, and I'm with Work to Future.
Welcome. Dennis.
Morning. I'm Dennis King, Executive Director of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the Director of the Small Business Development Center.
Welcome, Dennis.
Thank you.
Marty Cheek.
Marty Cheek, publisher of Morgan Hill Life and Gilroy Life newspapers.
Lawrence.
Good morning, Lawrence Thu, Strategic Engagement Manager at Work to Future.
Welcome. Marilyn. Marilyn, if you're talking, you're muted.
There we go. Sorry.
There you are.
I'm Marilyn Gomez. I am with a newly formed company that just launched an app. We are born and bred in Morgan Hill. It is the My Side app. And I am here the first timer. So I'm just kind of peeking in to see what these sessions are all about.
Great. Well, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And Matt Mayhood from the city.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Matt Mayhood, Economic Development Director, City of Morgan Hill. I am in the car this morning, so I'm going to video off and be muted. I'll be listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. A couple of new joiners. Julie.
Good morning. I'm Julie Lucido from the Filler Up Shop in Morgan Hill.
Welcome. And Marby. Marby, there.
Oh, yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
I'm Marby Lee. I'm a realtor with Remax Realty Partners here in Morgan Hill.
Fantastic. Well, welcome everybody. Did I miss anybody? No? Then let's go ahead.
Morning, Rick.
Mario has
Actually, if I could just intercede for a second, another member of my team has joined us here. If he could say hello, his name's Fidel.
Sure. Good morning, panel. Fidel Sanchez, Work the Future of Business Engagement.
Well, welcome back, Fidel. Okay, so Mario has a presentation on the 2023 Economic Development Latino Report Card results. And so let's go to Mario.
Right. Let's see, can I share my
Yeah, you can.
It's not coming up, Lori.
You got host permission, so you should see it at the bottom where it says share
See,
screen.
right in the middle of the bottom of your screen, there should be a green button.
Yeah. It says one participant can share at a time.
Oh, yep, that's right.
Okay.
Nobody else is sharing right now.
Can you see that?
Nope.
No.
Not yet.
All right, let's see.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
All right. How about that?
We see a white screen.
See a white screen right now.
No. Oh, no.
All right, Mario. We've been having gremlins with technology the last.
We really have.
I'm trying to brush them out, but I'm having a problem with the broom. It's just not working.
I know.
Okay, why don't we do this? Mario, why don't you work on that a little bit and maybe with Lori offline? Joe Mueller has a update from the City Planning Commission that he wanted to get in before he needs to run to another meeting. So Joe, do you want to jump in?
Yes. Thank you. Okay, so there's two things going on that are really important. One is two new state laws, AB 2011 and SB 6, took effect July 1st. These laws both look at commercial designated properties, where we put office, retail, and sometimes parking, and they allow it to be converted to housing of various things. It basically sets up 3 sets of rules and requirements and standards, one for mixed income and one for 100% affordable projects. That's 2011. And SB 6 has its own requirements that are a little different, but they basically all allow, under various rules, land to be converted to residential. And in some cases, we have very little that we can say about it. In fact,
How does that impact maybe our significant commercial properties that are open or vacant today, but have a project pending?
Actually, if we have a planned development on it, we have some protection from this, because the planned development is a overlay zoning that is an agreement between the city and the land developer, and that particular thing, I believe, prevents these from taking place. Mario, I see your presentation. Do you want to jump in?
Oh, no. Go ahead. Go ahead and
Okay.
finish, Joe.
The second thing is the Planning Commission is about ready to get the form-based code and the implementing map for the Monterey corridor. This goes almost the full length of Monterey, with the exception of the downtown plan area. And that's a whole new based code where we're going to really look at the relationship of the buildings to the street. And a lot of people, especially along Monterey corridor, would need to be involved at this. There's a public meeting on July 19th, and the Planning Commission is going to see it on the 25th at our next meeting. I can put in chat because I believe I got the web page up on my browser place, the link to the city web page on this. But this is going to have a major impact on what the buildings look like, more than what the use is along Monterey. So it's a different type of code. It's very similar to what the downtown specific plan used when we were setting that up, but this covers the rest of Monterey. And that's going to have a lot of activity at the Planning Commission level in the next at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you, Joe. I
Okay.
see we got a couple of hands up, so let's go to questions for Joe. Alex?
Yes. Joe, does this include all commercial property or only certain ones? As far
AB 2011 and SB 6 are for commercially zoned properties.
So it could be industrial or any type of commercial.
No, it's commercial, office, retail, more than industrial. In fact, I believe there's a provision that industrial cannot bound one of the properties.
Gotcha. Thank you.
John McKay, you have a question.
Yeah, thank you for that, Joe. This is, I think, what many of us were worried about. So as far as the rezoning, is it more that's going to be allowed, or will there be areas that will be required to rezone?
No, it's allowed.
Okay, so it's still just allowed.
Yeah, it's just allowed. It doesn't require a rezone of any type. The only indicated we have where we would have more control is where we have the commercial property was developed using PDs.
Okay, now are we allowed then to put PDs on properties now, or did the PDs have to be established at the time of adoption?
I would have to defer to trying to research that, John. It didn't come up last night. We did talk a little bit about trying to do PDs where we have some potentially, and nobody mentioned that we couldn't, right? But a PD takes property owner cooperation, right? It's a rezone.
Yeah.
And they need to do that. So, and staff indicated that there's some areas, unfortunately, of those two new laws that are a little bit gray. They have some undefined terms in some circumstances, and how they apply and how they work with some of the other laws that have been passed over the last 2 or 3 years is still being trying to understood. So everybody's learning at this point on these two.
Yeah. Okay. So just in case some don't know, residential real estate is far more valuable than commercial real estate. So there's not a lot of incentive for owners to not convert to a residential use. The last thing is the Monterey Road. Does that, in past years, we essentially laid it out so that there was supposedly a certain portion of each block remain commercial, so it didn't turn into one residential strip. Is any of that included in what you're looking at with the form-based codes?
I will defer to that till we get more information. That we're talking about going to form-based codes along most of the corridor, but when I briefly looked at it, I think it's broken up into maybe 3 types. So I haven't gotten through all the material myself. We were just told that it will be on the 25th agenda.
Okay, great. Well, good luck with that. I know you and I pushed for a lot of Monterey Road planning back in the day, so to speak. So thanks for doing that, Joe.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Nick.
First, I wanted to thank you, Joe, for the heads up. It appears that you've got a tremendous amount of heavy hitters on the Planning Commission coming over the summer months. No rest, right? And we just continue on. I just want to make sure I heard it right, though. For the Monterey corridor, you said it really excludes downtown. So are we talking about really bookending both north and south of downtown as a corridor, or are we looking at just north of Maine?
Both.
Both, okay. So
Both.
it's really
We're going all the way down. I won't speculate. I'm sure it goes all the way up to the northern boundary. And I know I believe it goes all the way past Watsonville.
okay. Wow. Yes,
It's really to set the standard. In a couple of places, it diverts off, like down at Kennett Station. All
Right.
that's included in that area, and a little portion of Main Street as you come off of Monterey.
Okay. A lot in motion, Joe. A lot in motion.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Matt Mayhood.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I pulled over and raised my hand because I wanted to chime in a little bit. Joe's providing a lot of good information. The SB 6 AB 2011 conversation, it's complicated, the land use regulations, but Joe's right. There's very little the city can do to protect some of these commercial properties from converting to residential. And as he mentioned, the only way to really protect them is to have a PD that has a master plan on the land. And if we don't have them on there now, it's going to be really difficult to get one on there now, because it would require the property owner's participation and support. And if there's a property owner who sees the monetary value of converting to residential, they're not going to participate in putting a PD that would limit their flexibility. So, the best way to protect commercial lands, just like industrial lands, is to develop them and to get a development project and work with that owner of the property to get the project developed with a good commercial retail use. And that base code, just downtown has a specific plan that runs from Main on the north to Dunn on the south, and Depot, and that's a very specific plan. The form-based code doesn't affect that area, but it is pretty much up and down the Monterey corridor, north of downtown and south downtown, all the way to Tenet.
Thank you, Matt. Hey, one clarification, and it's probably just my ignorance, but the property for the medical buildings off of Juan Hernandez, is that impacted by this, or is that a PD?
That's
It is not impacted. There is a PD on that property, and currently, as you're aware, Brookfield is going through a PD amendment to actually expand the medical uses on that property.
Okay, and the property on Cochrane and DePaul is not protected by any PD?
No, the commercial land north of the Cochrane Tech property is not protected by a PD.
Okay, so that could be bad news.
Yeah, I believe the hospital site itself is a PD. The old hospital site, the DePaul Center, and the property that Valley Medical owns does have a PD on it. But that doesn't impact the commercial between the hospital site and the freeway.
Right. Okay, any other questions for Joe and Matt? Matt, it looks like you have your hand raised again.
No, I need to lower my hand.
Okay. Any other questions on this topic? Okay, everybody, now let's shift to Mario. Mario, it looks like the report card's up.
All right.
Presentation, hand off to you.
All right, thanks, Rick. You gotta love technology. But anyway, last month I attended the unveiling of the 2023 Silicon Valley Latino report card, sponsored by the Hispanic Foundation. This represents the third iteration of the original report published in 2011. The report evaluates the quality of life of Latinos in Silicon Valley across 5 key areas: education, health, financial stability, housing, and environment. When it comes to economic development, there is overlap among these areas. I will give a quick overview of 4 of them and concentrate more on the financial stability. For this report, Silicon Valley, let's see. For this report, Silicon Valley is defined as the county of Santa Clara boundaries and San Mateo County boundaries. Demographics. Latinos comprise 27% of Santa Clara's county's population and 24% of the San Mateo County, making them the 3rd largest ethnic group in the region. Latinos under the age of 25 continue to make up a greater percentage of the population than their non-Latino peers, 39% to 26% respectively. Education received a letter grade of D. The percentage of Latino high school graduates in Silicon Valley who complete the coursework necessary to attend a state college or university increased from 2018 to 2019, but was still well below the non-Latino students, 42% compared to 77%. Other areas of assessment included early childhood education, 3rd grade reading proficiency, 8th grade math proficiency, and high school non-completion. Stuck on the
There we go.
All right, here we go. Health received a C letter grade. Latinos in Silicon Valley demonstrating progress in some indicators of health, while indicating other areas are still in need of improvement. The areas of assessment in health included access to healthcare insurance, teen births, mental health, physical activity, diabetes, smoking, and mortality. Housing received a letter grade of D. Latinos in Silicon Valley face consistent challenges with housing and are less likely to be homeowners than non-Latinos. According to the U.S. Census Bureau of 2021, 13% of homeowners were Latinos in Silicon Valley, notably lower than 61% of non-Latinos in the region. In 2021, 17% of Latinos lived in overcrowded conditions, a portion much higher than the 3% reported for non-Latinos in Silicon Valley. Other areas of assessment include housing affordability and homelessness. Environmental and sustainability received a B letter grade. Latinos in Silicon Valley showed a deep connection and concern for their surrounding environment. Survey results indicated that they were very concerned about the various environmental issues, including the quality of and accessibility of clean air and water, long-term effects related to climate change and global warming, and making sure parks and open spaces are available to the community. Areas of assessment included asthma, parks and open spaces, pro-environmental behaviors and attitudes. Financial stability received a C letter grade. Latinos played a significant role in Silicon Valley's economy, boasting a notable higher labor force participation rate than non-Latinos in the region. Latinos are more likely than non-Latinos to work in service, sales and office, natural resources, construction and maintenance or production, transportation, and material moving occupations. only 2% of Latinos work in computer or math-based occupations, compared to 15% of non-Latinos. Similarly, only 2% of Latinos work in architecture or engineering occupations, compared to 8% of non-Latinos. Between 2016 and 2021, the rate of unemployment of Latinos in Silicon Valley slightly increased from 5% to 7%, a similar trend among Latinos statewide and non-Latinos in the region. While median household incomes for Latinos continue to increase across Silicon Valley, they are notably lower than all persons in the region. In addition, these incomes are not enough, as over 57% of Latino households are not economically self-sufficient. But that Latinos are the third largest segment of the Silicon Valley population, and the local economy needs to harness Latinos' desire to work and their entrepreneurial spirit by providing job and wages that enable Latinos to prosper. Areas of assessment included labor force participation, occupation and industry, unemployment, median household income, economic self-sufficiency, and personal finance. The labor force participation rate, defined as the percentage of population 16 and older that are working to seek work, have been higher for Latinos than non-Latinos in Silicon Valley. As I said, 70% compared to 66%. Generally, individuals working in stable, rewarding occupation industries can improve their economic status. In 2021, Latinos in Silicon Valley were represented across occupation types that at comparable levels to statewide distributions. Latinos in Silicon Valley account for over a quarter, 28% of management, business, science, and arts occupations, in contrast to 67% of non-Latinos in Silicon Valley in 2021. The income is a key to building a more stable and prosperous future. In 2021, the median Latino household income was $89,000 in Santa Clara County, while in San Mateo County, the median Latino household income was $96,000 per year. While both counties have seen a steadily increase since 2016, median household income is notably lower for Latinos than all persons. Let's see. The California Family Economic Self-Sufficient Standard quantifies the cost of basic needs for California working families. The self-sufficiency standard provides a measure of the minimal amount of income needed for basic needs, such as housing, childcare, food, transportation, healthcare, and taxes. Over half, 57% of Latino households in Silicon Valley were below the 2018 self-sufficiency standard, nearly twice the rate as all of Silicon Valley, 30%. When asked if they had gone without basic needs in the last year, Latino and non-Latino survey respondents reported the same three basic needs of not being met: food, healthcare, and transportation. Latinos and non-Latinos surveyed respondents in 2023 reported similar levels regarding their financial well-being this year over the past, 24% and 18% respectively. This represents a decrease from 2018, when 28% of Latino respondents and 25% of non-Latino respondents indicated they were better off financially that year compared to a year ago. 47% of Latino surveyed respondents indicated that they think they will be better off financially a year from now, compared to 30% of non-Latino surveyed respondents. In 2023, when asked how comfortable they are managing their personal finances, 73% of Latino respondents indicated very or somewhat comfortable, compared to 84% of non-Latino respondents. let's see. So here's an outlook of the year-by-year grade comparison. And as you can see, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. There's been a decrease in education, an increase in health, and the rest have stayed pretty much the same. So I included a link to the report card if anybody wants to take a closer look. At this time, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
So Nick, you have a question?
First, I want to thank Mario for summarizing the report. There's a tremendous amount of quality information in the report. Yeah, maybe if I could ask Mario to kind of speak to, Mario is also heading up our Hispanic working group, and we've had very good traction over the past couple of months. And I'm just hoping maybe Mario, if you can just give an update of where we are, how it relates to the report, and more importantly, how we'll use the report, obviously, for future opportunities for us from a business community perspective here at the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, no, we've been working with the Hispanic Chamber of Silicon Valley. I mean, Dennis is on our Zoom call, but so this past, I think in May, we had a graduating class of about 31 individuals, and the Chamber is offering them a 1-year, free membership. So we're reaching out to their graduates to see how we could support their entrepreneurial spirit in terms of going out and starting a new business or improving their existing business. So we'll be reaching out to them and providing some kind of support in the near future. So
yeah,
I don't know if you want to add anything, Dennis. I know you're on, I think you're still on the.
Yes, I am. I appreciate the Latino report, Mario. The concern I've got is it doesn't really make a distinction between recent arrival Hispanics, immigrants, and those that have been here for a generation or more. So it's kind of giving a slightly distorted picture, but certainly it does underscore the need.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate working with you because what we're looking at is not just entrepreneurial training, but mentorship. And that's going to allow them to continue to get access to resources as they develop their businesses. So solving problems for businesses today, whether it's access to capital or whether it's, again, helping them from a marketing perspective, is a prelude to other challenges in the future. So having a longer term relationship than a one-time education experience, I think is going to be the real difference in the programs that we're doing now than what we had done in times past. And I think that's where the greatest growth and the greatest impact is going to take place.
Yeah, Dennis, it's interesting because they did address, recent immigrants and the distribution of the new arrivals and in the methodology that they use to gather the report card. So, and the assumptions and the data gathering. So it is addressed in the report. So the limitations of the methodology used in data collection. So.
Okay, John McKay, you've got a question.
Yeah. Hey, thank you, Mario. Thank you for that report. These, they're always eye-opening and thought-provoking when we start to delve into different segments of our community. Dennis said something, that there's kind of a distorted view on things. And so one of my question is, this is Silicon Valley, which is it's a crazy place. It's not like any other place. And so I could certainly see how some of this, it seems rather obvious that it would be that way because this is a crazy place. But how does that, do you think that reflects what's going on in the rest of our state and our country? Are all those trends generally true? Do you believe? Do you know?
Well, in the report, it does talk about the comparison between what's happening in our region in Silicon Valley as compared to statewide. So there is an assessment because the data that they use for the grades is really federal and statewide data, and they avoided, any kind of data sources from the local area. So they want to get a broader view, a cross section from a larger region than just Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
in
How
their
did that look?
I
How
mean,
did the rest-
we're doing a lot better compared to the other parts of the state. So,
Oh, okay.
which is good.
Well, it's
In
good.
certain areas. Yeah.
That might be good, but apparently that's a bad thing.
Right.
because
It's still, it's still below where I think we should be. So, but
Okay,
anyway.
great. All right, thank
Yeah,
you.
it's worse for the rest of the state, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Alex.
Yeah, that's an interesting report. I appreciate it. So from an OSA point of view, one of our largest participant groups is called Latino Outdoors. And they're one of our largest sources of volunteers and participants in just general hiking and finding, members on our trails and in our preserves on a regular basis. Also, when they're a volunteer, sometimes they want to become actually an employee, and we've recently hired 2 open space technicians. Those are our workers in the field, and they're both Latino. And our new, brand new board clerk is a Latina. Just reflecting on what you say.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, Alex. Kathy.
Yes, I have 2 questions. Thank you, Mario. I think this reflects what many Latinos in our community, whether they're recent or born here or second or third generation, have seen for a long time. But maybe in the report, if you could share that later, I would be very interested if it's not addressed when I ask this question, is when it talks about the household financial stability, it doesn't really talk about how many jobs each of these members of the household have. So if you have 2 working parents, in the report, did it account for the children, the older children, and the 2 working parents or one parent, how many jobs they have? Because typically, because of the high cost in Silicon Valley that many people don't see, is it in order to get that grade, whatever that not good grade is for financial stability, it really does involve working families that have more than one job and more than one person in the household working. So was that addressed at all?
That was some of the limitations of the data. They use the U.S. Census data to obtain the household incomes. So I don't know if they went to that level of detail for each household, but I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, I can show you the link, and it does address it, but it's part of the limitation of the data gathering. But
And
I
I
don't
would
know
just,
what
I would just give you an example for working families that we can see here in Morgan Hill, and I certainly think in Santa Clara County, it's very common. If we look at one industry, restaurant workers, you can see where you see 1 employee working at 2 restaurants or 3 restaurants. So though they're reflected as a service in the restaurant industry, they have to work 2 different jobs to even reach 40 hours. And then even that 40 hours is not sufficient for them to live. That's why you have, as you explained in the report, this higher density in the housing of families. So I would be really interested to see how that plays out too. Thank you.
Yeah, I just put up the year-by-year comparison and the detail and the areas of assessment for each of the areas on the screen, so you can take a look at that. And then you have to have the medium household income. I mean, we could take a closer look at that. So.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Nick, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge Kathy's comments. I think you're certainly spot on, Kathy. And I think what our hope is obviously is to use this information to be able to identify based on each one of those brackets some very targeted areas within the Morgan Hill community that we can have impact to that'll elevate their status in several areas. So you're right, information obviously is powerful. We're going to have to be able to distill out those important elements that relate to the community to ensure that we've got opportunities to be able to help advance that score over the course of obviously the next reporting period. More importantly, how do we actually impact the community here in Morgan Hill based on what we now know and what we see? So there's a much more work ahead of us, but I'm encouraged to be able to one, have Mario head up our working group, and two, Dennis, thank you for your efforts, obviously with the Hispanic Chamber itself. We're going to be spending a tremendous amount of time together with you on that, and we'll expand and continue this conversation over the next several months.
Yeah,
Okay,
as soon as I'm done sharing my screen, I'll put the link to the report card on our chat. So.
Okay, any other questions for Mario? Mario, thank you very much for your presentation. I know your work with the Hispanic Working Group and providing the training for those 30 folks and really looking to get into some mentorship with them certainly is a good start. I think we've got a lot of work to do, obviously, by the report card.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, with that, I guess anything from, we've got a number of work to future folks on the call today. Any updates or anything you'd like to add to this presentation?
Just a couple of observations. One, as a local workforce board, we run analyses of the labor market on a continuing basis, and the data that we see very much reinforces what Mario just shared from the Latino report card. I will say that on the self-sufficiency front, it's a sort of a good news, bad news story. The United Way of the Bay Area just ran just released its most recent what it calls real cost measure report for the Bay Area, and real cost measure is the term they're using for essentially self-sufficiency income. And it indicates that at least in Santa Clara County, which is one half of the region that the report card covers, the percentage of Latino households that with incomes that fall below self-sufficiency level has fallen from 57% in the year of the data year that the Hispanic report card uses to 50% in a more recent year. So it's moving in the right direction. That's the good news. And the bad news, of course, is that 50% of Latino households in Santa Clara County have incomes that fall below the below self-sufficiency level. Excuse me, it's still right. It is the ethnic community that is furthest away as a community from being able to afford to live in this very expensive community of ours, and that's worth keeping in mind as we look out. Yeah, let me stop there.
Okay, thank you, Lawrence. Any other questions or comments? If not, we'll move on to Nick Gaich on a discussion of workforce development.
Let me see. There I am. I lost the screen there for a second, Rick, but the gremlins came back, so I think I'm good. Actually, I'm really excited to provide the Economic Development Committee an overview of where we're going with what we're calling our Workforce Development Initiative in 2023 and 24. That will soon turn into obviously a program of services here for the Chamber of Commerce. Let me see if I can share my screen now. Let's see if this will work. All right.
Got it.
Okay, is it working? Okay, here we
You
go.
got a big light bulb.
I got a big light bulb. There you go. Well, first and foremost, maybe to help launch this, I just want to mention that the Chamber of Commerce has really had a history, obviously, in workforce development. And what we're doing is just building on that history. For many on the call this morning, they know that whether it's the Rock the Mock program or Manufacturing Day or Hispanic Working Group, the Economic Development Committee has been working earnestly on workforce development. The board made some very key decisions over the next year of setting some of our priorities, and obviously workforce development really kind of rose to the top to ensure that we really have not only continuity of services, but we have services that would provide impact to our local community here in Morgan Hill. And this morning, what I'm hoping to do is just kind of give this team a brief overview of where we are and, more importantly, where we're heading, along with introducing really one of our strengths of our partnerships that we're going to be developing, we're going to be developing, we have developed with Work the Future over the next several months and hopefully the next several years. We really truly have what I would consider kind of an unwavering purpose as relates to our workforce development program. And our lens for this is really on both our youth as well as our seasoned veterans as far as business leaders here in Morgan Hill. Our hope obviously is to intensify very specific targeted areas of services, programs, and education that as we build into the fabric of the Chamber of Commerce will provide greater value for not only businesses, but individuals and applicants as relates to different career paths that we can provide. Our business model construct really has 4 key pillars. We're going to provide an educational curriculum. We're going to talk about applied training and really what it means to both employers and job seekers. We're also going to talk about some business support tools and resources that we're going to inherently build here at the Chamber, as well as in reaching out to like-minded partnerships that have skills and competencies that can help complement our services. And as I spoke earlier, we're going to talk a lot about, over the next several years, providing internship and apprentice opportunities with our business leaders here in Morgan Hill that can provide our youth an opportunity to become business leaders as they take a look at career paths. The key here from our perspective is we're looking for bi-directional return on value. It really has to be a return for all our constituents that we're working with. We spent a tremendous amount of time, I think, early on just aligning our partnerships. And this is just an example of our partnerships that we're building, hopefully using the Morgan Hill Chamber of Commerce as this centering hub to really kind of spoke out to many partners, including the Morgan Hill Unified School District, obviously the City of Morgan Hill, Gavilan College, our various nonprofits here at Morgan Hill. We have a tremendous amount of nonprofits. We're really blessed with that. We want to be able to tap into those nonprofits, be able to not only offer deeper value to them, but more importantly, how it relates to business functions within their scope. We're going to be reaching out to philanthropic donors, as well as having strong conversations with our county supervisors in Santa Clara County to ensure that we're on board with their initiatives and principal aims to obviously strengthen our relationships here in Morgan Hill. I kind of affectionately call this kind of a transformational curve. But I wanted to give this group a little bit of a feel that we spent a tremendous amount of time at a board level, as well as a committee level, just going through a discovery, a readiness assessment, and then developing a roadmap for our future programs. And what I'm here today to really hopefully talk about is what I'm calling some catalyst programs or some early adopter programs that beginning at the end of July throughout the next several months will be launching. And they're listed here on this curve. Obviously, this curve will continue on. It really will turn out to be a life cycle where as we each one of these programs will have a continuous program enhancement program. We'll be looking at idea generation, and we'll be consistently adding more value as we go through. But this morning, what I wanted to do is just to help inform this group that we're going to be launching 4 or 5 key programs over the next several months that'll help kind of launch our program itself. The first one I want to talk about is really just an example of what I would call applied training versus education. And the idea here from an applied learning perspective is really to take acting practitioners in that world that can conduct training and education for our businesses and our individuals that are thinking about business on very specific areas. This is an example of one of our partners called Prosperity Labs that'll be providing a website design application and the return on value for websites here in Morgan Hill. It'll have a very targeted cohort. We're looking at businesses that are newly formed under 3 years of activity. It'll be taught both in English and Spanish. And we have a class capacity of about 25 business owners. But the beauty of this is that the individuals that will be attending this class will not only understand the value of creating a website and the application, the return to their business, they'll be able to walk away with its first design in place. And along with that, there'll be stipends for individuals that have completed that course curriculum to be able to help them get into that area. This is just one example of what I'm terming applied learning that we'll be putting forth over the next really several years. In fact, Dennis, I'm going to be meeting with one of your teammates with SBDC on Monday morning. We're going to be taking a look at some educational programs on their end as well to be able to continue to fill this bucket with resources, tools, and competencies, be it directly with the chamber or through our like-minded partners. So this is one example I wanted to share. We're looking to launch this sometime in August, but there'll be more of what I would consider applied training, whether it's targeted for social media or commercialization or funding over the next several months. The other,
hey, Nick,
yes,
on chat, they're asking whether you are meaning to advance the slides because they're not seeing those.
Oh, they're not seeing. I'm advancing them on my end.
We've still got the light bulb up as the.
Oh, I don't know how to correct that. I'm looking at it.
Nick, could you, this is Lawrence, hi. Would you really unshare and try sharing again?
Let's try that. Thank you, Lawrence. Talking about gremlins in the system here. Okay, let's try this again. Are you guys seeing the deck?
We have the original slide up.
Yeah,
Okay,
it looks like it's showing what's on your computer, Nick, but not, a presentation mode, or I'm not sure what it's
yeah,
called.
let me see if I can get, yeah, I'm trying to get it to slide mode. I'm clicking the buttons. Having difficulty with that. I got Lori in here to help me. I'm not sure why it's not going now to slideshow.
Nick, can you click on the left side panel, like on page 4, to see if it'll bring it up? And you maybe
See, is that changing itself?
Yeah, maybe you can do it that way.
Let's just, I'm just going to keep it in this mode, guys, if that's okay, because I don't trust I don't trust the technology right now.
You're not alone.
Okay, let's double click it here. This was the slide that I was talking about as some of aligning our partnership programs here. Hopefully you can see that. Obviously, this Spoken Hub will expand over the course of several years. But I really feel very fortunate that for the group that you see up here on the slide deck, that we're starting off obviously in a good foot. This here was the transformational curve that I talked about. This was the example of some of the readiness that we did, obviously at the board level and the committee level. And we're going to try to speak to is these several programs that we're launching is what I would consider early adopters. This is that first program that I talked about, and this was the example of applied learning. And Prosperity Labs is just one of our partners that we're going to be working with. We got Work to Future on the phone. I'm going to hand over the mic to them in a little bit. But we're also going to be working with SBDC and many other businesses here in Morgan Hill that can apply what I would consider an immersion workshop, where the individual that actually is taking that workshop will be able to walk away with something in place to be able to help them advance their business that next day. What I'm really excited to launch, and hopefully you can see this next slide, is one of the areas we wanted to put forth is actually creating what I would call a job internship recruitment board here, and we're calling it MH Jobs. Under the direction of Kylie McLaughlin, she has actually designed an incredible job board that really is here to establish our community of opportunities here for Morgan Hill. It'll be designed such as where you're going to see employer, resume uploads, internship opportunities, but it'll also include a listing of available resources from all of our partners, as well as all of our businesses here in Morgan Hill that'll be updated on a monthly basis. We're actually looking to launch this at the end of this month. We're going to showcase it at our breakfast meeting, which I believe is on August 3rd. So I would encourage everybody to attend to be able to understand actually how to access it, and more importantly, the capabilities and the opportunities that we're going to provide here. I can guarantee you that the price point for the job board is going to be the best in our county. So it really hopefully is not going to be a price point concern. But working with the committee and the board on that, we felt that certainly for this first year, we wanted to make sure that there was some economies in play here across all of the various opportunities we have. And we're very excited to be able to launch MH Jobs. And I will encourage everybody to attend our breakfast meeting to actually see it working online for the years to come. The next opportunity I did want to highlight here is really what I would consider more of an educational work source. And we are so fortunate to have very strong members here at the Chamber of Commerce. This is one example of an educational session that we're going to be providing. We're going to use our existing bank memberships here to be able to provide a panel to really speak to the access of capital on the webinar. And the intention here is to both inform and educate our young entrepreneurs the importance of capital financing, from initiation of idea all the way through capitalizing their business to be able to build resiliency and growth. We're targeting that for the months of August and September. We're going to be using our membership to be able to provide this educational workshop. But this is an example of the profile of workshops that will complement our applied learning immersion programs that we're going to be offering through the Chamber. The last program that I really want to speak to before I hand it over to our partners, Work to Future, is we're going to be working with many to provide a job workforce and a recruitment fair that'll be announced in 2023. In fact, I want to acknowledge my peer here on the phone, Victoria, the CEO and Chamber of the Chamber of Commerce in Gilroy. We have a wonderful working relationship with Gilroy. Many of these functions we're going to be looking to do, and in partnership, this will be one of them. So thank you, Victoria. I can't see you because my screen's not showing on my side, but I wanted to make sure that we introduce Victoria and the work effort that she's doing in the Gilroy Chamber and how the synergies are going to work together both in Morgan Hill and Gilroy. With that, I want to hand over maybe the last 8 to 10 minutes to Work to Future. And we've already heard from Lawrence, the Strategic Engagement Manager. But as we took a look at our discovery process, we just found what we thought was just a gem for us to be able to partner with. And that is our Workforce Development Board here in the County of Santa Clara. And the three areas that we're going to highlight, what I would consider some of our early adopters, I think provides three things. It provides continuity for our businesses as well as our job applicants in three areas: internships, job onboarding, and incumbent training. We felt it very important to work with Lawrence and his team to be able to use that as a launch to embed work to force in the fabric of the Chamber of Commerce. So I wanted to go ahead and hand over the mic to Lawrence. He can introduce his team, and they're going to specifically talk about those three initiatives. More importantly, what we feel the intention will be as we engage with our businesses and our job applicants, as well as the opportunities that Work to Future is bringing based on grants from the state and the county. So with that, Lawrence, I'm going to hand it over to you. I'm going to try to work the board for you to see if I can get the technology to work, and we're going to give the mic to you. Oh, Lawrence, you're on mute.
Thanks so much, Nick. Give me a moment to pop my mic open.
There you go.
Nick, you and I are going to engage in a little bit of PowerPoint ad-libbing here for just a second. I wonder if you could stop share so that if you'll indulge me, take a moment to reintroduce the members of my team who are able to join us this morning.
There you go, of course.
Thanks so much. So let me switch back to gallery view here and ask the Work to Future folks, if you could just raise your digital hand, folks will be able to sort of reacquaint themselves with who you are. First up I see is Deanna Walters, who's a member of the Strategic Engagement team for the board as well. And you'll hear a little bit from Deanna a bit later in this presentation. Okay, clearly I've got a digitally challenged team here this morning. They're actually raising their rail hand, so that's okay. Raise your rail hand again, folks. Thanks. So waving her hand is Shar Marazzo, who is on our career services side, and you'll be hearing from her a little bit as well in a moment. And then Fidel Sanchez. Fidel, will you raise your hand again, please?
Sure, Fidel? I'll do it again.
And Fidel is a part of the business services side of the Strategic Engagement team. And then last but not least, Daniel Nguyen, who is raising his hand now, who is actually a brand new incoming member of our team. He'll be joining us towards the end of this month, and he'll have a major focus on delivering for us on a continuing basis and allowing us to drill deeper even than we're currently doing into understanding the labor market and the economy here in the South Bay and in the greater region that impacts our economy. So Nick, thank you so much for indulging me. We can go back to the slides now, and thank you everybody.
Okay, we're risking this though with the gremlins and the technology. We'll see if we can get it back.
Here we go. So as Nick is getting us back to the right side, I suspect that most members of the committee and others on this morning's meeting are familiar with the local workforce development boards, but in case you're not, we are a creature of both the state and local government. Work to Future is the local workforce development board for a region that the state calls the San Jose Silicon Valley local workforce development area. We serve about 2/3 of Santa Clara County from Los Altos Hills in the northwest all the way down to Gilroy and running through 8 cities in this county, in that band from Los Altos Hills down through places like Saratoga, Campbell, Los Gatos, and of course through Morgan Hill and Gilroy. We also serve all of the county's unincorporated communities, so that would include San Martin down in the South County and the Stanford community up in the very northernmost part of Santa Clara County. We have two principal customer sets, businesses and job seekers. We're going to spend the greater part of our presentation this morning speaking about our business customers and our relationship to them, but I did want to take a couple of minutes to share with you what we do with respect to our job seeker customers, and I'll ask Shar to share that information with you. Shar?
Thank you, Lawrence. Yes, job seeker, that's the part I'm focusing on now. What we do is we help job seekers become better candidates, and so that they can find a job or get a better job. And how we help them is we give every job seeker a one-on-one career advisor who will help them make a job plan. They will help them navigate all of our services, and then they'll stay with them and support them through employment. We also help people skill up we have this on-demand online learning platform called Matrix Learning that offers thousands of classes. Some are so basic. There's one on office telephone etiquette. There's some on how to listen to customers. There's also classes on project management and even Python programming. So it's very robust. We also offer to our job seekers, they're all Zoom right now, but they're instructor-led workshops. We have our own in-house trainer that will help with resume development and critique, interviewing skills. She's very, very good. We also partner with San Jose City College in Evergreen to do some other workshops focusing on the Microsoft Suite, Google Suite, accounting, social media, and so much more. And we also have, gets even better, opportunities for certificate and vocational training, such as medical assisting, web development, computer tech, and truck driving. Those are just a sampling. We have many, many other choices for our job seekers. And additionally, we also offer opportunities for on-the-job training, but those are all the things that Lawrence will cover. That's just the little small portion to give you an idea of what we do here on the job seeker side.
Thank you so much, Shar. And I should point out that these services are available to the community at no cost to the job seeker, of course. We're specifically funded by the federal government and the state government to provide these services to the community. That includes the vocational or occupational training programs, where we actually pick up the tab for participation and attendance in those occupational skills learning programs. Also, I should point out there one distinction between the metrics learning tool or resource that Shah mentioned and the other kinds of instructional opportunities and learning opportunities that we provide to job seekers. And that is the metrics learning tool is actually available to everyone in the community who's interested. They simply have to come to our website and register to obtain a license in order to be able to take advantage of metrics learning. Unlike the counseling, advising, and occupational training and more robust occupational training programs where a job seeker does need to meet certain eligibility requirements and become a formal enrolled client of the local workforce board. So moving on to the business customer side of the equation, we as a local workforce board provide an array of services to our business customers, all intended to enhance their opportunity for success in the marketplace by addressing workforce needs. I'm going to, as Nick suggested, just focus on a small handful of them this morning, but I do want to let you know that in fact, it's quite a wide array of resources and opportunities for support that are accessible to you from Work to Future and from really any other local workforce development board. I should just point out that the two closest to you geographically are, of course, Work to Future and the San Benito County Workforce Board. We're just a few miles down the road across the county line. So one of the things that Nick mentioned in his run-up to our presentation here this morning is beginning to put a focus on internships. And Work to Future takes the internship business, if you will, one step further. The intention with these internships is, on the one hand, provide businesses a potential talent pipeline to support and advance their recruitment and retention workforce needs and strategies. And on the part of job seekers and potential job seekers, it's to provide them a paid pathway to gain meaningful basic work skills and exposure to a variety of types of businesses and types of work within various business environments. And yes, I said paid, and I also said previously, all of our services are available to businesses at no cost, as they are to the job seeker. So in the instance of these internships or work experience opportunities that Work to Future facilitates, we actually pick up the tab for the interns' wages. The interns actually become employees of a third-party employer of record, so that there's actually no impact on the payroll of the participating business that's hosting the intern. So wages, workers' comp, etc., are fully subsidized up to normally a ceiling of about $6,000 for an intern, and that intern's relationship with the host employer can be either full-time or part-time. The employer works with or screens or reviews works off a set of pre-screened candidates that Work to Future career coaches compile in alignment with the interests and needs of the host employer. And then they, subsequent to placement with the host employer, and the employer, by the way, is the party that actually makes the selection of the intern, of course. Those career coaches or career advisors will provide additional support for the interns throughout the internship to facilitate their success to the extent available. The intention, as I suggested, was to create both the opportunity to develop basic workplace skills, as well as career and industry awareness. Currently, our internship program is focused entirely on youth, young adults, if you will. There are two clusters of them that we work with. There are out-of-school youth. We treat them as what they are, young adults, and these are individuals who are not enrolled in school. They're going to be between the ages of 18 and 24. So Julie, yes, there is an upper age limit, and it is 24 currently for our internship program. We also work and facilitate internships for in-school youth. These are kids who are enrolled in school. They're going to be either in high school or potentially in community college. They're going to be between the ages of 16 and 21. So that, in a nutshell, is our internship or work experience program. Moving on, Nick also mentioned something about new hires, the new job board, which we're very much looking forward to seeing. Work to Future participates in new hire onboarding support for businesses as well. We do that in the most obvious way, in that we support your recruiting efforts. We do that by getting the word out. We do that by having our career coaches try to match up the job seekers they're working with employment opportunities that we are made aware of. And I should say that we're not made aware of those employment opportunities just in a passive fashion, that is to say, waiting for them to come to us. We actually have a team of folks, colleagues of SHARS and the Career Center operation, whose job it is to go out there and actually engage with businesses to see where the employment opportunities are, to do job development, if you will. But in addition to simply getting the word out and facilitating recruiting and supporting recruiting in that fashion, we also support on-the-job training. We help employers, businesses, minimize their risk and their expense in bringing on new hires, especially new hires with limited experience coming in at an entry level into the company. We allow you as an employer, or we allow employers to the time and the space to ensure that those new employees have the basic skill sets and the training required for both the employee success and the business's success. This is actually a wage reimbursement program that we run. We not only help to facilitate the finding of these new employees by helping you find qualified applicants for the openings that you have, but we reimburse you as an employer up to half of the wage load for that new employee for their initial employment period, up to a cap of $6,000 per new employee. This usually runs across about a 2 to 4 month period of initial hiring, if you will, of initial employment, if you will, depending obviously on the wage rate and whether we're looking at a full-time or a part-time employment. As with the internship program, the career coaches, the career advisors provide additional support, wraparound to the new employees throughout this initial employment period, the onboarding period, if you will, to ensure to the extent that we can that they're going to be successful, and both for you and for themselves. In addition to this on-the-job training support, of course, there are additional potential tax credits that might be available to the employer through a variety of tax credit programs attached to the hiring of new employees, both a work opportunity tax credit, for example. The state also has a homeless hiring tax credit program, and there are a couple of others that we can provide information about. I see a question from Kathy about success rates, and I'm pleased to say that with the on-the-job training program, so with those placements that are part of an on-the-job training support effort, the success rate is very high. We fully expect that through this partnership with the employer is going to one, select a candidate who is best positioned for success, and then with the additional supports that our career advisors are providing, along with the training support that the employer is providing, that we are positioning both the business and that new hire to the extent possible for success. And so the post OJT success rate, the retention rate, if you will, is I believe better than 90% when it's related to on-the-job training support.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to the next thing we want to talk about. So we not only provide financial support to the employer and wraparound support to new hires through on-the-job training, we also support employers in the upskilling or reskilling of their existing employees. We call this incumbent worker training. And I'm going to ask my colleague Deanna to tell you a little bit about that program. It's new for us. And I'm asking Deanna to share that information with you because she is in fact the person who played a leading role in bringing that program into reality for us and currently is the lead on administering incumbent worker training. Deanna?
Thanks, Lawrence. Good morning again, everybody. At the most bare bones basic definition of incumbent worker training is that it is funding support for employers. It's money that we are able to reimburse to you for the training that you are already doing for your existing employees. These are employees that have been with you for at least 6 months. But the real heart of incumbent worker training, the spirit behind it, is that it is a program that lifts up both the employer and the employees by skilling, upskilling, reskilling, and making sure that our local employers are remaining competitive in their respective industries. So one of the main ways that we implement incumbent worker training is that we want to help employers remain competitive. Mm-hmm. So everyone in an industry, for example, is moving toward a new process, then we want our local employers, of course, to be able to keep up and stay current with all of those processes. And if that means that they need to invest money in training their employees to be able to do these new things, to maintain their competitive edge and to keep their employees at that high level of skill, then we want to support that with funding for those training programs. We also utilize this as a way of preventing layoffs. For example, if a company is closing down one of its product lines and is moving toward a new product line, what can we do to train those employees who are working on the old one to have the new skills that they need to stay with the company, stay employed, and move into this new area of the company? So it works by stretch. A successful IWT will stretch the budget of an employer so that they can provide more training to more employees, and the employees who participate in it are going to learn some new in-demand skills that can lead to higher wages for them, perhaps a promotion for them. And overall in the corporate structure, as those employees move up, then we create new backfill opportunities on the back end for new entry-level employees to come in and just keep that that employer going and staying current in their current market industry place. These costs are shared. There's a formula. If you are a smaller employee with less than 50 employees, then Work to Future will partner with you to pay up to 90% of these training expenses. It depends on the size of your company. If you're a larger employer with over 100 employees, we will partner with you to pay up to 50% of your training expenses. So these are all the kinds of things that we would connect with ahead of time and come to an agreement. Here's the training that you see that your employees need. Here's how you want to develop that training and provide it for them. And then we'll have an agreement with you that as that training goes along, we will be reimbursing your costs. So this is a really great way to support your your local employers as they continue along, as they go through their business cycle of building and expanding and meeting the needs that they're facing. So one thing that I did want to mention is that this program can be paired with maybe some of the other programs that Lawrence mentioned. So if you bring in someone through a on-the-job training program, they've been with you for 6 months, they've been successfully on board and brought on, and now you want to train them to take them to the next level. These programs are a little bit stackable in that way. I will pass it back to Lawrence to wrap things up for us. And I will also just note that I'll put my my email address in the chat if anybody wants to reach out to talk more about IWT and talk about the specifics of the different expenses, the different reimbursements, and how it all works. Thank you.
Lawrence, you're on mute.
Thanks so much, Deanna. Thank you for sharing that information with the committee here. I just add to what Deanna said, or underscore that with both the on-the-job training and the incumbent worker training support programs, it's absolutely about supporting training that the employer needs their employee or their employees to have. It's about the acquisition of skills that are going to be of value and that are going to enhance the competitiveness, the success of the employer. Finally, I do want to just mention that a big part of what we do on the business customer side is to support recruiting, as I mentioned, and one of those mechanisms is job fairs and smaller specialized recruitments, and we're very much looking forward to helping to host a South County Job Fair sometime this calendar year, the event that Nick mentioned earlier in this presentation. We've been absent physically from the South County since the beginning of the pandemic. Frankly, when we switched to virtual services, it felt very distant for us from Morgan Hill and Gilroy and San Martin. And so we're thrilled to be resuming a physical as well as a working presence in South County, and we're so much looking forward to being of service with you. We are chatting with Nick and the Chamber of Commerce to seeing if we might be able to have some kind of physical presence at the Chamber of Commerce offices themselves from time to time. So stay tuned. We'll see how that develops.
Rick, before we go to questions, if I can maybe just in the conversation. First, I want to thank Lawrence and the whole Workforce Future team for presenting this afternoon. I mean, our hope here at the Chamber was really to provide three things. First, we wanted to localize our efforts, right, based on very targeted programs and services that provide value. Of those programs and services, we want continuity and we want depth. And in fact, this is a wonderful example of how these overlapping services, it can be enhanced and amplified based on engagement. And then lastly, and maybe as more importantly than the first two, we need to humanize our efforts so we understand the workforce development needs and really how to participate and engage in those needs with our businesses, our nonprofits, our community, as well as our city, our county, as well as our state. So, you know, I'm going to use an old phrase. I'm an old corpsman in the Navy, and as the captain used to say, you know, the boat has left the dock and it is full steam ahead. So there's going to be much more that we're going to be developing over the course of time. I really feel fortunate to be able to work with such a strong board. The discovery process was longer than maybe someone would have liked, but we spent a tremendous amount of time understanding who to reach out to as far as like-minded partnerships, what skills and competencies they're bringing to complement the Chamber of Commerce, but more importantly, the depth of their programs and how it'll impact someone's life tomorrow, the next month, the next year. So with that, I'm going to put a call out to action. We would need full engagement with each one of these services. Thank you for mentioning that, Lawrence. It's with full engagement. We hopefully be able to pull Lawrence or some of his team here at the Chamber of Commerce on a recurring basis. We're really here for the long haul. And with that, Rick, thank you for the time today. We're going to continue to reinforce this message over the next several sessions, and we're going to move forward because the ship has definitely left the pier here. Right.
Great. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Lawrence. And thank you, Workforce Group. One question, Lawrence, do you have any businesses in Morgan Hill that you're working with currently?
We are currently working with a number of businesses down in the South County area between Morgan Hill and Gilroy. The one that most immediately comes to mind is Paramit, which will be taking part in a job fair that we have coming up in San Jose, actually on the 15th of August. And while I'm there, by the way, on that subject, please, even though physically the August 15th job fair is in San Jose, it's really open to businesses from throughout the county. So if you haven't heard from us about the August 15th job fair opportunity yet, Fidel, who's in this meeting, will be happy to hear from you and let you know how you can find space for yourself at that event. And job fairs obviously are recruiting events for employers. Rick, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, and if I have an employer that wants to explore working with you in the future, who should they contact, or how should they approach that?
So we're a very democratic team, and that they can contact any one of us that you see here on this call, but I'm going to drop my email address into the chat. I'm doing that as I speak, and please absolutely feel free to have them reach out to me. And I know Deanna was planning on dropping hers in the chat as well. So absolutely. And I see Fidel has as well.
So
fantastic. And who I was thinking about was I'm the retired CFO from Paramit. So I was actually thinking about Paramit, but I'm glad to hear you're working with them.
And Rick, maybe add to that too. I mean, we're going to have obviously a strong relationship. So they can either reach out to the chamber or Lawrence. We're going to keep our connections in tight so we can actually understand the degree of penetration from the Morgan Hill community. That will evolve over time as we get further engagement. But as you can tell, I'm very excited. It's hard for me to even sit in this chair because there's been a tremendous amount of work from the team around us, the chamber team, to pull this together. But I also wanted to acknowledge Kathy Napoli for. So you're aware, wearing your Gavilan trustee hat. I'm actually meeting with the Dean of Workforce Development at Gavilan College this afternoon, along with, I'm meeting with Dr. Garcia for the Morgan Hill Unified School District there as well next week. So the intent here obviously is to continue to build these programs based on the strength of our partners, as well as in the community that we're servicing. So looking forward to it. And again, the boat has left the dock here, so here we go.
Nick, please say hello to Susan Sweeney for me.
We'll do that. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We're just about at the end of time. Probably look to see if we have any updates. Is Matt Mayhood still on here from the city? I don't see him. Also Dave Dindak, but John McKay, you're on the board of the Downtown Association. Anything you want to contribute quickly?
No, let's see, I think one of the things that we had talked about, and maybe I'm the person driving this, is it'd be nice for the Chamber of Commerce Downtown Association, visit Morgan Hill, the new PBID, Downtown Morgan Hill Business District. I forget what the formal name is. Visit Morgan Hill. I think we should all get together and talk about how we're going to plan our future events, because we're starting to develop some overlap, and we don't want to cannibalize some of the great things that we've been doing and lose some of that, basically cooperation between all the different organizations, which has really been great. So I know I'm urging that we meet and I'll talk about, what each of our lanes might be, what we're all trying to do, and where we can do that best and how it can help each other. Trying to work on a restaurant month. I was just on the phone with a person from the Wine Association, and if you guys have recommendations, January seems to be a good month, but then I heard that there's so many people doing dry January and healthy Januaries that January is not that good for that kind of thing.
Not the best month, John, you're right.
Yeah, so maybe it'll be February. So working on things like that. In general, planning events and all that's ongoing. But I do have a comment outside of that, if I could have a brief moment.
Sure.
Recently, the city council approved, I believe it was a zoning amendment, for the property, the northern end of the property that Trammell Crow is developing. I think it's 30 acres, and it was a very close call. They almost didn't get it passed. And I think that that's very important for an organization like the Chamber of Commerce to actually support, because I can't talk about it. Now, Matt Mayhood's not here, but still I'm sworn not to tell anybody about the proposed development, but it would be absolutely fantastic. It would be a game changer. And I would hope that this organization and everybody, whether they're part of the chamber or not, would let the council members know this is something that could be very good for our community. We get the sales dollars that we get, the tax dollars that we get from auto dealerships is one of the highest sources of revenue in our community. And so not only is it going to bring more dollars into the coffers, but if the community were patient enough to see what would unfold, and that would be expressed through our council members, we would actually have something very, very special in our community that doesn't look anything like a car dealership you've ever seen. So that's kind of my, John McKay, private citizen comment there at the end. Please, so if you could, please, let's support that project.
If I can make a follow-up comment, John, we'd love to understand a little bit more about the development to understand, what we're really looking at. And that's talking from somebody who lives right in that section of the town. So personal interest also.
Yeah.
Let me add to that if I can, because you're right. They came to the council this last council session. The Chamber of Commerce actually did a fairly large study, both understanding the implications to the zoning changes as well as the community sensitivities. To Rick's point, this is really kind of a two-phase effort. I did speak, and the Chamber of Commerce did support the zoning effort. It was a close vote. There are some conditions that obviously take place now after the zoning amendment has been approved, and that really talks about design and intent of the property itself. So, John, to your point, the Chamber of Commerce did spend a considerable amount of time of understanding the recommendations, first from the Planning Commission, digesting the staff report, and I did speak to it on behalf of approval on that agenda item last week. Much more to come. You're right, as we take a look at what those futures could look like. But that was the first step in the process, and the chamber was fully supportive of that.
And I think, Lori, you have your hand up.
Hey, yes, I just want to go back to the Downtown Association update real quick. The event we're currently working on is the Brew Crawl, which will be September 16th from 1 to 5. So those tickets are on sale now. If you want to come, we'd love to see you.
Fantastic. Any other quick updates from anybody here? If not, I want to thank you all for attending. I know we went a bit over our time today, about 5 minutes, but thanks a lot, and we will see you next month.
Take care, gang.